Hey, what's going on, everybody? Boilon here, and welcome back to another video on Marvel Strike Force. Now, this video is coming out a little bit sooner than I expected. Normally, I would just, at this point, wait until the blog on Friday afternoon, but I feel like this had to be talked about. Well, that was bad English. Anyways, we have something to talk about because there was a blog post that got released at midnight Pacific time, which is a very unusual time. I don't know what people are doing. Maybe they're just all having a party there over at the Envoy Jam, and the community managers decided to push this out at midnight. Who knows? But anyways, we're here to talk about the changes to the Pegasus team and also the upcoming Pegasus final event, because boy, have they raised the bar on that for sure. And we need to talk about both the changes to the team and both this event as well, and what to expect. So if you're ready to go, let's boil this down. Alright, so here we are. This is the blog post. I can't believe how late this came. I mean, I don't think that they normally release things this late. So the improved Pegasus kits. We've updated several characters on Team Pegasus to make more use of their mechanics outside of raids. These are changes in live in game now. I don't think that's the case. I think this was maybe released ahead of time, but we'll take a look and compare. There's a few characters, namely Rescue, that I want to check on that. There's an easy check on that one. Check out the updates below and read for a teaser. So basically, yeah, they took a lot of what was in the kits and they just removed the raids part for the most part. Like, I'm not going to go through this in its entirety. You can kind of read along here. You can see how they've just, the original version in raids, and they've just essentially gutted the parts that do say in raids and all of that. And so it's good for the passives that they're gonna, because a lot of them were in raids. The team gets this on the passives, and so now they're gonna get this outside of raids. The point is that I'm not sure if this is gonna be a very good team outside of raids anyways. Even with the removal of this, yeah, it's going to make them a little bit better, and maybe it's going to be good for early and mid-game players, perhaps people who are thinking of maybe taking Rescue to Dark Dimension 6. There's going to be some additional value there because, the abilities will work across the teams in general. I think they've also removed the Pegasus only part. Take a look at this for Rescue here. So specifically, the special here, it had in raids. In War and raids, apply regen. In raids, applied to Deathproof and to Deflex. So this is updated to do it across all allies. There's a typo here, but I'm going to assume that it's to regen across all allies. The Deathproof and Deflect, unfortunately, is still Self and Pegasus only. The ultimate here does do immunity for 2 turns to Self and all allies, which is nice. It did do this in War and raids as well, but now it does it outside of that. So that's good. Speed up, though, is specific to the team still. And I believe the passives, which gives the on-spawn barrier, this is still there. And unfortunately, it's not all allies. It's Self, Power Armor, and Pegasus allies. And same with the defense up. So does it provide enough value to use Rescue in Dark Dimension 6? I was never really planning on going that far with Rescue anyways. I think Gear Tier 18 is very high for a raid team, which is probably unnecessary. I think with Power Creep, typically, unless there's a very good reason to bring that character up, you don't really need raid characters much beyond Gear 16, 85 to 90 kind of range, because you can sim most things as long as they're a good team, which, if they're not, then they'll have to rework them again. Usually that's sufficient. The only characters that I've taken from raids that are into Dark Dimension 6 for me is like OG Cap from Rebirth and Vol, obviously, because Vol's amazing. So I'm not going to go through the entire thing here. Like I said, you can read along yourself. I don't think there's anything that's been changed. They've just kind of gutted the raid tag part, which is fine. I think there's a reason why I don't expect them to be very meta outside of raids, is that they're slow as fuck. Like, they are slow. If you watch my video on the stats tables for this team, the problem is both Darkhawk and Iron Man have the exact same speed, in fact, so it's actually like a coin flip for them. And in general, they I don't remember who it is. Maybe it's Darkhawk and Iron Man, or maybe it's Rescue, not Rescue, Ironheart, but they're just, in general, they have a pretty slow speed. And the reason why Ironheart works in raids is because of the part of her passive that does not work outside of raids. So if you go to Heart of Iron, in raids on spawn, fill speed bar for Pegasus allies by 15% plus 15% per ally. So yes, in raids, this is less of an issue because that's a lot. That's like 75% speed with the entire team. Now, that's not available outside of raids, and it probably shouldn't. That's a lot of speed bar, honestly, and that would be more for like a war-focused team. But maybe like a minor version of this would have been nice outside of raids, because I just believe that they're too slow to really have any value in Crucible or in War unless there's a specific call out to them in Crucible in a future room. I'm not even sure if they'll even be better than Bifrost in the raid room. And so I'm a bit skeptical there. And I think that, honestly, because they're so slow, the Eternals would just blow them out of the water. They don't have Safeguard. They still don't have Safeguard anywhere. And I wanted to see whether or not they'd actually add Safeguard into their kit. I kind of did a search a find button for Safeguard. No, they don't. And so for that reason, I think that when in other game modes, Eternals with Icarus will just blow them out of the water. They'll just flip all the buffs that they do have on spawn. And I don't think any of them are going to go faster than Icarus or Cersei or anything like that. So yeah, that's a bit of a wash. But again, who's it for? I don't know. Maybe for early and mid-game players, they'll get some use as the team, building it for raids and then having a decent team outside of that. And then that's, it's not going to be great in the other game modes, but, it's probably going to be better than leveling up an old team, right? That's kind of useless at that point. So it is what it is. And at the bottom of the blog, they do talk about the Project Pegasus event, which is the final event, which is in-game right now. We can kind of take a look at it. It went live, I believe, earlier today being Thursday. I haven't gone to bed yet. So that went not the showcase, which is live right now, but this part here, Project Pegasus, the showcase finale, which is in 17 days. And you can kind of preview that here. Now, the interesting part of that is it's in 3 difficulties. I think there was 3 difficulties for the previous one. However, it was like story, challenge, bonus. I think that's what it was before, and now we don't have the story version of it. We just have challenge, which is all 5 of the characters at gear tier 15. Okay, so this is kind of what the middle difficulty was previously with Bifrost. And they've kind of ratcheted up a little bit with the requirements. And now, Legendary, aka Difficulty 2, is 5 Pegasus at gear tier 15, 4 yellow stars. Okay, we're going to talk about why I think this might still be a little bit of an issue. And then bonus, 5 Pegasus at gear tier 15, that's fine, 6 yellow stars. So instead of 5 yellow stars, they've jumped that up all the way up to 6 goddamn yellow stars. And even the difficulty 2 at 4 stars, surprisingly, is a little bit of a concern. Okay, and we're going to talk about this, we're going to, we can't see exactly what the rewards are going to be yet for this, but keep in mind that if you are planning to do this at all, make sure that your rescue, and in fact your other characters, are at gear tier 15. I believe previously to do like the challenge mode or the early difficulty D2, what it was last time, I think it was gear tier 13. I can't remember specifically, but I thought that's what it was. But anyways, make sure that your Pegasus characters are at 15 if you're interested in doing this when it goes live. Question is, how long will it stay up? Because in order to get those 4 yellow stars, that's actually going to be more challenging now than it's ever been in the past, because we're getting less shards per character than we ever did before. And to showcase this a little bit, I do want to kind of take a look at the new Avengers. Now, right now with Ronan, okay, I have 50 out of 80 for him, but for Mockingbird, we know this was a shit event when it comes to shards. And I fully believe that they're going to carry this forward for Project Pegasus for the characters for this team. Now, we have a 45 shard unlock for Iron Man, Ironheart, and then 100 for Darkhawk. But the problem is that I don't expect the character release events to be any more than 100 to maybe 130 shards. I think Ronin was about 130, and so to bridge the gap to get the 4-star, I know what you're going to say, and I'm going to beat you to it. You're going to say, well, okay, there is the strike passes or the RTA passes. The problem is that I don't think that we're going to get to the passes and the passes that are going to be completed before this end finale event actually goes away. So I think that the likelihood of obtaining that 4-star before the closure of that final event is not going to be good. I don't think that the likelihood is going to be very good. You may, and so I want to put this into better perspective as to, who these events are aimed for. So we're going to go back into the tab here. So I think we've kind of changed with the expectations of what rewards we should get. So challenge for me, that's free to play, right? That's going to be, it doesn't matter the star ranks, it's gear tier 15. I think Legendary is not actually free to play. I think it's going to be what I'm going to call semi free to play and low spenders. So what that means is that if you spent some of your power cores, I got a lot of power cores saved up, and so I'm sort of thinking about right now, do I want to spend power cores on Iron Man right now? Maybe to get them unlocked, but also just so those shards that I have, the 45 to 50, will bridge the gap for when his actual character release event goes live, and so I can add the 45 to 50 plus his character event and hope that I get to 4-star, and do that for each of the characters. If I get like 50 shards per character by pulling them with power cores, then I can, do this legendary mode. But I'm not going to say that everyone's going to be able to do this, because I don't think that 4-star for all 3 of the new characters is going to happen before this event ends. So that's why I said it's not really free to play. It's like semi free to play if you're like good with your cores, you have a horde, whatever, or you spend a little bit of money. So, maybe not a lot. Maybe you bought like 1 character pack for that. And that could be enough to bridge the gap in order to get to 4 yellow stars to do this legendary mode. Bonus, on the other hand, it's well out of reach. Like, I don't know if that's whale or kraken territory at this point, but 6 yellows is a lot different than 5. 200 stars, 200 shards is a good, I don't know, how much money is that? Like over $100 per character. So that's quite a bit of a gap that you need to bridge. If that's the difference between 5 and 6. And so I'm not personally a big fan of this. And it says earn rare rewards, and they did talk about it here in the blog post with all of the recruits, blah 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 blah. They talk. Although the bar for entry will be high, they do admit this. At least the rewards, especially the first time rewards, will include blue 5 ions, blue 4 ions, mini uniques for 16, 17, and 18. So what's interesting is how much of this are we getting? Because this is no different than we had the Invader Showcase. They had blue 4s, they had blue 5s, and they had gear tier at least 16 and 17. Was 18 out around Invaders? Maybe. I don't really remember. I don't think it was, actually, now that I think about it. So, we did get a lot of stuff from there. So how much more are we getting, though, given that that bar is raised much higher, both for the middle difficulty and definitely for the highest difficulty? So I'm completely out of that highest difficulty, but I'm hoping that maybe, with some good core spending, that I might be able to get all of my Project Pegasus to 4-star so that I can do that middle difficulty at least, And another interesting thing is that you can actually find the campaign on msf.gg. If you go to their website, marvelstrikeforce.com, and you go to their campaign section, it's not fully available yet, but you can see it here on the side here, Project Pegasus Challenge, Legendary, and Bonus, and for sake of argument, like, I can click on this, and they have the different nodes here. You can see the nodes here, and you can see how they're titled, which is kind of interesting. I know my frame cuts it off a little bit. So Project Pegasus, Node 1, don't try to miss, if you know what's interesting, I want to kind of point out to a few of them. There is number 7, on the road to Goblinville. The team heads to the domain of a Green Goblin variant who has a stockpile of energy and a small army. Is this an allusion to ALL, to a Green Goblin variant coming to Marvel Strike Force? Like a lot of us think that it might be Green Goblin Glider, Norman Osborn for next patch for Cosmic Crucible team. Maybe that's an allusion to that. We also have number 10 at the bottom. Get the Goblin and all his loot. A trapper sprung, and blah, blah, blah. So Goblin fights Pegasus. So it's probably not going to be that character. They're probably not going to showcase off the new character in this event. I doubt it. But this could be some text allusion to, having this character come down the road. Now, unfortunately, when I click on the team, I don't think that they know what's actually going to be on the nodes yet, because it kind of bugs out. I don't see the characters, the loot's not listed, it's not there. It might be updated in the near future, and I'll be keeping an eye on this to see whether or not, what we can kind of gather as far as the rewards go for this, and whether or not it's actually worth pushing for it on terms of shards, or spending your cores to get the 4-star early on those characters. You can actually read a little bit, some of the stories are available, so I don't know, if you're really interested in that, you can kind of check it out, and maybe, connect the dots a little bit on what might be happening, because sometimes I've heard that they do, make some connections there and actually has some relevance to the characters that end up coming out later on. So it is what it is there. But overall, I think we should be skeptical about whether or not this middle difficulty is going to be available free to play. Completely free to play is what I mean, because I think that more and more they're pushing us for less shards, and even characters like Sylvie, for me, I don't even know if who's for Bifrost, of course. I don't know if I even got her to 4-star by the time like her events. She was in the monthly pass or the month-long calendar, right? But I don't know if I actually got her to 4-star by the end of it because it wasn't 180 shards. So more and more we're seeing in that 3.5-star range, expected to bridge the gap with the passes, but I don't know if we're going to get it in time for this, the conclusion of that event. We'll have to wait and see, and I'll probably report on it again, but I wanted to report it just now because it's new, and we will still have the blog post. So that's going to be the end of this video, everyone. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. Boilon signing out.